Miles Marketing. A little bit late today, a whole 8 minutes. Sorry, I've been busy. But look, I'm sure nobody was waiting around at 12:30 for me to go live, so I don't feel too bad. I will just check though to make sure that we are indeed live on the internet. Yes, we are. Oh, there were three people. Sorry to keep you waiting, you three. Hopefully more will join us. Look, today we are looking into Bite Size Brand. It's one of my products, Bite Size. Easy for me to say, right? Bite Size Brand Positioning, to give it its full title. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rattle through what it's all about, what you get, and if you have any questions, then please pop them in the chat, and I will do my very best to answer them live on air. Okay, so Bite Size Brand. What's it all about? Well, look, my bite-sized products, they are all there to really save business owners time and money. So often when you are looking for a marketing agency to give you some services, design you a strategy or a marketing plan, or to look at your brand or branding, it can cost you thousands upon thousands of pounds, if not tens of thousands of pounds, if you go to one of the big agencies. Now, look, I've been doing this for a long time, and I developed my bite-sized products to be affordable, both in terms of the amount of cost to the customer, but also in terms of the amount of time it takes to actually get these things done. So in essence, Bite-Sized Brand is, if you like, a workshop, but we spread those workshops across 3 1-hour sessions. Now, there is a reason why we do this. And really, it's to give the business owner a little bit of time for things to think in, and a little bit of evaluation sort of offline. Because what I find with doing brand workshops all in one hit is very often, in retrospect, after the event or in hindsight, it's, I thought of this when I was in the bath, or I thought of this when I was in bed that night, and can we add this to the mix? So it's through my experience of working with brands and really pulling the essences of them apart that I've designed this to be as practical, both in terms of the time commitments, because not everyone's got half a day or a day for a brand workshop, but actually it really does help to have them broken up, because between the sessions, the business owner and myself, we're able to cogitate, if you like, and really think about what the key parts of this are. So in terms of its cost, let's just be upfront. It's £1,200, or a pound shy, £1,199 plus the old VAT, for 3 1-hour online sessions. And at the end of it, what you get is what I refer to as the Brand Bible, which will include your brand values, your tone of voice, your USP, your unique selling point, and an overall document for you to keep that you can then share with third parties so that they understand what your brand is all about. And I'll talk to you a little bit more in depth about other ways in which the Brand Bible is useful, including staff. So let's talk specifically about brand values. And with small businesses, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, do I need brand values? Well, let me just tell you something now. You all already have brand values. You all have your own personal values. Within your business, you may not realize it, but the way in which you do some things is the way in which you do everything. And there will be things that fall out of that, where people make a perception of your business based on the way in which you present yourself and the way in which you behave. Okay, so it's inbuilt in us to have values. And what I would suggest is really important is, no matter what the size of your business is, have some kind of idea as to what you and your business stand for. Now, I say you and your business because with a lot of people, they are their business. All right. I mean, I named my business after me, right? So, it's very important that what I stand for as a person, Miles Marketing stands for as a company. So I would urge you to, if you don't want to invest in, a third party to pull this out, just sort of sit down and think, what do I stand for? I know that perhaps you all know this, but the benefit of writing it down is that you can refer to it on a regular, maybe put it up on the wall in your office, because what you want to do with your brand values is make sure that they permeate everything that you do. Now, when I say this, I don't mean it literally that everything you do is reflected with all of your values, because that would be just too much. I mean, we're not talking about being literal about it, but as an example, one of my brand values at Miles Marketing is having a giggle. Right now, that doesn't mean that everything I do is hilarious and that nothing's ever serious. All right, but when it allows, then I like to make light of things. And I think you'll see as well, in terms of the tone of voice that I use, the typography, the font that I used, you can see it on the screen there. It's a little bit sort of soft and playful. The explosion that Bite-Size Marketing sits in, there is something a little bit light-hearted about it, rather than something that's it's serious, right? So just think about those things. I'll just rattle through I'll rattle through the brand values of Miles Marketing so you can get a little flavor of the type of things I'm talking about. And values can be like a statement. All right, you can have 1, 2, 3, 10 values. I would suggest there's a sweet spot of between 4, 6 and maximum 8 values. All right, because you really want people to be able to take them in and remember them. And especially when you bring staff into your business, it's important that you think about employing people based on your company values. Do you think that they will align with the company values? Because ultimately they will be representing you and your company as well, right? So you want to sort of be thinking about this. So Miles Marketing's brand values are, the one I like to sort of talk about the most is the pioneer. That's where my my spaceman image comes from. I suppose it takes in two things, right? It takes in having a giggle and being a pioneer. But what I've done is I've made a statement by saying pioneer is one of my values, and then I've underpinned it with a little bit of text, if you like. It's just explained it a little bit more, right? So we are on a quest to break new ground. I mean, this is not sort of suggesting that everything I do is sort of new, but certainly we like to bring a fresh approach to things, and we like to, tackle problems and projects and bring a new angle to things. Being curious. Well, we want to hear the truth of the matter. When I meet my customers, I'm asking those sort of hard, awkward questions about their business because I need to understand exactly where they lie. And I want to sort of get underneath the bonnet, if you like. So having a curious sort of approach to things is important. Being impartial, I get myself into trouble here, but I give my unfiltered opinion. And honestly, I've had customers that haven't liked what I've had to say, but I've had to be true to I don't mean I've had to be sort of rude about it, but I've had to sort of just point out the obvious. Sometimes people just can't see the wood for the trees. And maybe they don't like it and maybe they do stop using my services. But hey, guess what? You can't please all of the people all the time. And I need to be true to myself and my values. I like to give my unfiltered opinion. It's the only sort of way I know. Being tenacious. I mean, if I'm going to offend people, right, I need to be persistent. So tenacity is one of my values. And it really does sort of make me tick. I do like to keep going and to make sure that a job is well done. Being valiant. I'm not talking about sort of sitting on a horse as a knight, but I will fight the good fight. If there's something worth sort of pushing, I will stand up for what is right with a business, even over making money and sort of furnishing my own nest, as it were. I will make sure that I do give the very best advice as I can for my customers. And the last thing is having a giggle, right? Being a little bit fun, being a little bit playful. At the end of the day, who doesn't enjoy a giggle, right? So the reason I sort of rattle through these is if you don't have or haven't written down or identified your brand values, then I just suggest that you just take a little bit of time, set yourself out maybe an hour or so, write down what you think feels nice. You can do it shorthand, longhand. It doesn't really matter, okay? But make sure that you've identified them. Think about keeping everything together. And where it becomes important is twofold. Third parties. So when you bring in somebody to represent your brand, now let's say that you engage with a creative agency to produce you some posters or a brochure, they may not understand, or you want them to understand what your company is all about. So by you being able to say, look, these are our values, this is what it stands for, a third party is able to very quickly grasp and apply those values to what they create for your business. Yeah. The second thing I've spoken about is when it comes to employees, making sure that they represent you properly and that they understand. They don't have to hold all of the company values to their own, but they sure do need to know how they need to be portraying themselves in line with the company values when they're representing the company. Make sense? So just have a little think about those. The second thing we go through in the second session of the workshop is tone of voice. And I've got some sort of illustrations which show this really, really well. But this is all about how you want to be perceived, right? Perception is reality, okay? So it's really important that you consider things like colors, things like fonts, things like your style, right? It is, to me, it's important that every time I come on air that I've got some branded merchandise on, that I've had a shave, and all right, please forgive the long hair, but I'm due a haircut this week. But I try and present myself in the right way. It's not until you sort of think about how people are perceiving you that you're able to apply this tone of voice. And I don't want you to think that I'm sort of getting you all wrapped up in marketing speak here, but it is about thinking, right, well, have I got my brand colors? Do I use them consistently? Am I using the right logo all of the time, or am I changing it constantly? Do I use different fonts when I'm creating my collateral? All of these things, you might not think of them as being super important, but when it comes to consistency and people having the right perception of you and your company, that tone of voice becomes really important. Okay, so that's another thing that we sort of pull through and make sure that you fully understand. Any questions you got, pop them in the chat. I'll do my very best to answer them. USP. All right. Now, this can stand for a number of things. Unique selling proposition is what I was always taught it was. Unique selling product. Ultimately, it's about what makes you as a company unique. What is your USP? Why do people come to you? All right. What are you going to hang your hat off? And this is a conversation that I have on the regular, because quite a lot of people have a number of different leading products. Okay. So it's very important to identify the one that you want to be synonymous with. And that's not to say that you can't have a different focus for a different market. Of course you can. But it's really important that you understand that people only have a certain bandwidth, right? And if you tell people that you do everything, in fact, they hear nothing. All right. So I push my bite-sized marketing products. My main bread and butter is giving outsourced marketing to companies, right? But my bite-sized product is affordable in terms of time and in terms of budget. And that is the product that leads me into working with companies to provide them with their outsourced marketing. If I just stood here and talked about outsourced marketing day in, day out, then potentially I wouldn't get as many clients because it's higher ticket, they're harder to come by, whereas people use my bite-sized products on the regular, and then I get a nice sort of pipeline of bigger clients to go to for my outsourcing. Does that make sense? So I was always taught right from my first days in retail that, you need to keep selling your best sellers. A lot of people make the mistake of, I need to push this now because I've got lots of them. They don't sell very well. I need to push this now. And guess what? You don't sell them, right? Because they're not that popular. You do need to keep selling your best sellers. Find what works and then push that. But identifying your USP, what makes you unique, allows you to demonstrate to people why they should use you. A really nice way to think about this, all right? Again, I try and give as much as I can to people to do these things themselves if they want to, but try and think about what it is that your product or service solves. Yeah. So maybe your USP is the answer that people are looking for. All right. Does that make sense? Good. Right. We've got a couple of questions that have come through. I will have I'll have a little read of those now in a second. I'm just going to do a little sort of summary. So look, all of this gets pulled together, all right, across these 60-minute sessions. And what you get at the end of this is what I call a brand Bible. All right. Now, they're called lots and lots of things. I call it a brand Bible because I think that you should sort of keep it at hand and refer to it very regularly. This is not something that I want just sort of shoved in a drawer and never looked at again. It's something that I urge you to physically print and keep on your desk so that you can remind yourself and refer to it. It's something where you have it as a PDF and you send it to all of your suppliers. When you write a brief for something that you need off an agency, then include your brand guidelines, or as I like to call them, the brand Bible, so that people can see what your values are, what you stand for, what your tone of voice is, what your font is, what your brand colors are, and what your USP is, because they've then got all of the information they need to develop whatever product you are looking to do with them. Okay. In terms of its price, it's £1 shy of £1,200 plus VAT. And you get to work with me for 3 hours. What more? What more would you need? Anyway, let's try and answer some questions before we wrap things up. Let me just... When it comes to the vision and mission statements, do you find them as important as values? Costas, Mission and vision is more part of the strategy. So when we look at the marketing plan or bite-sized strategy, that's when we look at mission and vision. Mission and vision, I suppose, it's a little bit of an old school terminology. It's what I learned when I first started. But I think that these days, you might refer to it as your why. All right. Your sort of your raison d'etre, your reason for being. And I think these things are important in the round. But I personally think that the mission and the vision, they're really for the business owners to be au fait with. Yeah, share them with the staff. But I was going to swear then. I'll swear anyway, right? Your staff don't really give a shit, all right, about what your company mission and vision are, right? They just want to earn their money and go home. I'm being quite facetious. I'm sure some people do care, right? But the vast majority don't. So what is more important to make sure that you're visible with it? It's your brand values, all right? You want your staff or your brochure or your marketing, your videos, your website, your social media, you want the essence of your company to come across. And that's why it's more important externally than the sort of the mission and vision. Because how do you really communicate a mission and vision in everything that you do? What you want to make sure that happens is that within your mission and vision, your brand values are reflected in them. Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question there, Costas. And one more question. This is great to have some questions live on air from Liam. This is something we are struggling with at the moment. We have a multifaceted business and it's hard to sort of channelize customers. Look, and I get this, and Liam, I refer to this, and I'm happy to have a chat with you about this, Liam. All right. Especially when you're within your business and you do have multiple products, it's really hard not to get sort of stuck in the mud and sort of, I'm not trying to be patronizing by saying you get confused, but you need to get some clarity around the focus point, the USP. So I know that you've got a fitness business, but let me just say, and please forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but let me suggest that your main earner and the thing that you want to lead with is the fact that you do classes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I don't know if that's what you do, right? And they are like 6:30 till 9 o'clock. And your target market is women from 35 to 55. So you offer functional fitness to that age bracket. That should be what you push as a business. You should make your external marketing all about that particular product. Once someone engages with you, they will get to find out about all of the other products and services you offer. Maybe you do a disabled class on a Sunday, or maybe you do a kids class on a Friday night, right? My point being is you can't communicate the kids class, the disabled class, the mums and tums class. You can't, the CrossFit class, the weight training class, the Olympic lifting. You can't communicate all of these things all at once. What you need to do is have one thing that you hang your hat off, your bestseller. And then when people come to you for your bestseller, they will get to know that you offer all of these other products and services, especially in your fledgling business, Liam. Focus on that for now. When you start then to get some momentum, you can then perhaps open up a second channel, all right, where you do start talking about your second bestseller. Does that make sense? Because really trying to talk about a million things, people will hear nothing, but you get people through the door for what you'll become I was going to say famous for within your local area. And the moment that they engage with you, then you can start to share with them the other products and services. Let's just remember this one thing, right? Ultimately, people buy from people. People really want to recommend people. The personal recommendation thing is so powerful. And you get one happy customer and they're going to tell a number of people, I can't remember how many it is, but they're going to tell a number of people about your products and services. So just make sure that with your current customers and your current database, that you are providing them with the knowledge and information for them to talk about you in a positive light and maybe sell some of your other products and services. So I hope that's helped, Liam. Costas, no problem at all. Look, if you've got any other specific questions about your branding, please, I keep doing this, the WhatsApps, just send me a WhatsApp, ask me a question. It's absolutely no obligation, and I'll do my very best to give you an unfiltered answer, right? Live up to my values. There we go. Liam, I will reach out to you, Liam, and just sort of make sure that you I don't want you to be struggling with anything. So let's try and give you some clarity there. But that's it for this week. Let me tell you what is coming next week, and it's an absolute corker. We've got another special guest. She's an absolute star. Her name is Kate. She is a PR guru. Now, I know that word, the guru, gets thrown about the place, but I can tell you she's got some amazing experience, and she's an international PR person. She's going to be here talking about AI in PR. Right? How it's affected her business and how she's grown to embrace it, and giving you some hints and tips about how you can use AI, all right, within your own PR in your business. It's going to be a good one. If you want to find out about it, then go onto my profile and please just give it a follow. It really sort of helps. That's next Tuesday. It will be at 12:30 on time this time round. But until next week, thank you all for watching, and ta-ta for now.